This is an incisor. If you guys want to sit around.
So this is pretty cool. That one is looks like we're not a replica.
Someone else. Check those
Can you show the one to go in the front?
These are the incisors. Yeah, that's cool. There is a picture for reference. Yeah. So,
wow.
The reason why these guys are one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous animal in the Amazon.
In Africa. They're just quite territorial. They're huge animals. They're the second largest mammal on the planet. The keeper often talks about giraffes and how people would assume giraffes are bigger and heavier, but they're not. Giraffes maybe will go around 2,000 pounds, but a male hippo can get up to 8,000 pounds, which is crazy. The next animal up there would be an elephant, which gets 10 to 12 pounds in the male. Not just that, but they live in pods where there's a dominant male and its family, and they're huge animals, but they only live in a really small part of the river that they inhabit. So if you have a long river, you have a lot of different territories, They're constantly fighting each other for it. So if you happen to walk by one of these areas, you're kind of going into hostile grounds. They're very aggressive, especially if there's a young hippo involved, because young hippos are defenseless and are often prey. So they're very protective of things around them. That's why they're so aggressive in the wild. So they're very, very dangerous animals. That being said, these animals are different. We do tactile training with them, so the keepers work with them day in and day out with the contact. They feed them, they give them positive reinforcement, so they associate positive feelings with what we're doing. So we really don't experience that. Nevertheless, there are some things that we have to make sure that we do to protect ourselves, but also to protect the animal. And that's something we're going to talk about right now, I think, actually. So I think now is a good time that we'll collect these forms. We're going to go forward.
Then you go.
The
coolest thing that we offer at the zoo, it's personally everybody's favorite that works here to be able to be part of this. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be meeting Mara and her baby Rosie. She's about 3 years old now. She's not that much of a baby. She's large and in charge now. She's very cute. She was an oops baby, but we love her all the same. She was born on Halloween. She just turned 3 not too long ago. Very cute. I'm gonna give you guys the safety talk. So all we ask is when you're petting the hippo is to really focus on your experience with the hippo, and we want you to pet up and down. If you were to pet this way and the hippo happened to shift, your arm could get pinned by the bar. That there will be a bar protecting us. If your arm gets pinned, there's absolutely nothing we can do. These are animals that weigh tons and tons of pounds. So that's kind of what you signed the waiver for, and that's what we want you to be safe with. Also, if you wanted your picture taken while you're petting the hippo, please let me know and give me your camera or phones. We don't really allow you to take your cameras or phones in there because we want you to be focused on that experience. We usually touch behind the shoulder around that area because the mouth is very wide and can be very unpredictable. They'll also be eating, so you don't want to get in the way of their food there. But other than that, they're very sweet animals, and it's a very cool experience, and they feel a lot different than you would think. So yeah, other than that, if you have any questions, I'm sure the keeper will be happy to talk to you about them, because we're going to meet her first, or him. I think it's a her today. We're going to meet them first, and then yeah, it's going to be super fun. So we're going to walk on by.
We're going to bring in our two ladies. We have adult female Mara. She's 13. She weighs about 3,500 pounds. And then we have her daughter Rosie, who's 3. She weighs about 2,200 pounds. So I'm going to bring them in now. All right, so I'll give a few hippo facts right now, and then I'll take questions because I can talk for hours. So I'd rather focus on what you guys want to know about. So obviously, hippos are semi-aquatic animals. They live in water. They need to be in and around water. They do go out on land in search for food, so they could travel up to 10 miles in an evening looking for food. They're grazers, so they're looking for grass or plants of some sort. And then once they find it and eat, then they go back to the water. They are not good swimmers. People think that they are excellent swimmers because they live in water, but they actually just sink right down to the bottom. They're super dense, very heavy animals, so they just maneuver off the bottoms of the water. So it looks very graceful and very beautiful. It's called hippo ballet, so it's really cool to watch. They kind of just bounce off the bottom of the water, but they can hold their breath for about 5 minutes, and they have a natural reflex for when they sleep. So they can be fully asleep and come up for air naturally underwater, so that's pretty cool as well. But they can travel very long distances underwater in that 5-minute span, so sometimes when there are boats out there, people out there to see hippos in the wild, they can sneak up on a boat and they just don't know they're coming because they'll be underwater for so long and they can just topple the boat right over. So they are known to kill the most people in Africa, and that's just because of drowning. But they don't eat people, or they don't like go after people like that. They just don't like boats in their water, so we don't recommend going out and see them. Hippos have their ears, eyes, and nose on the very top of their face, so they can pretty much hide like 99% of their body and still be able to hear, see, and breathe. So they're very, very good at camouflage under the water. Sometimes it kind of blows my mind when their poo water gets a little murky, how much they can hide. Like I'll be standing out there going, well, I don't see them. So they can sneak up very well. It's just the color of their skin, and when it's underwater and the reflection of light, it's amazing how they can hide underwater. They can run up to 20 miles per hour on land, so they are very agile. They can stand fully on their hind legs. Our male used to stand up with his front legs on the very top of this bar. So he was huge. When he would do that, he used to blow my mind. I was like, okay, get down. Time to go, bye-bye. But they're really, really friendly. They love the attention. We do enrichment and training with them in this back area every day. I work on husbandry behaviors, different things to help so that we can better care for them. So body presentations, blood draws, injections, open mouth, laying down, different things like that, so that we just can give them better health care. So they really enjoy the training. They are super smart. They catch on very quickly, and it's all just positive reinforcement, so rewarding with lettuce or different treats. And sometimes I just reward with tactile reinforcement, so just rubbing and scratching, scrubbing them wherever they like. But yeah, do you guys have specific questions about them that I can focus on?
What is their primary diet? Are they like more herbivores?
They're herbivores, so basically it's grass. In the wild, that's what they would be eating, because I mean, you're not coming across much variety in Africa, so it's mainly grass. There are different types of water plants that grow that they will eat, but wherever there's hippo, there probably aren't much plants, so they have to go and search for it. And they're loners up on land, so they would generally go up alone, and that's just because they want all the food. So it's like, don't follow me. If I find something, you can't have it. So they go out alone. They can sneak up on people pretty quickly on land as well. So, and they're nocturnal, so they would be going out at night. But they give themselves away by that deep bellow. I'm sure you guys heard them a little bit earlier. Their bellow is very, very loud. They're like the third loudest animal in Africa or something like that. It's very, very impressive. So hopefully they'll make the sound later. You can hear it, but they don't usually do it back here. They do it in anticipation of the door opening for the tours. So, good question. Any others?
Is the mom still protected?
She really never was.
Okay.
In the wild, yes, the moms are very protective of their young. They go off. When they're ready to have their baby, they leave the group, and they'll stay away from the group for about a week. Once they've taught her everything they want, then they can go back to the group. But they live in large groups of like 60 to 80 individuals. So yeah, they're very protective. Infanticide is common, where they can accidentally get crushed just because they're kind of big animals that have fights sometimes. Like males fight for dominance, and sometimes they're just annoyed at the other hippo that's on top of them, so they fight and move around, and they're just big animals, so that's why they're very protective. But they also, a predator animal may go after a baby hippo, like a lion or an alligator or something like that would probably go after a baby, so they have to get through mom. But with us, Mara, it took her about 5 days to let me touch Rosie. But like, you know, I mean, that's to be expected. I mean, I think we're worse than that. No, you can't touch my baby. So yeah. All right. No other questions? Yes.
What tricks can you do with them? Like if you do like this or like, I don't know.
Well, it's like I said, it's not really tricks that we're training. We're training behaviors for medical purposes. So I'm not asking them to stand for me. I'm not asking them to hold a ball or anything like that. I'm asking them to present their hips to me. or to pick up their foot for me so that I can put it on a platform to then get x-rays. So like with Mara, I'm working on a blood draw from her tail, so I'm asking her to let me hold her tail, and then we've done x-rays of it so then we can find out where the bones are so that then we can start poking her with a needle. So now what we're doing is we're working on with a curved tip syringe, so we're just poking her with that. So I have her station, I have her hold, I have her let me pick up her tail, still holding, and then I say touch, and then we poke her with a curved tip syringe, she holds, and then I let go, and then I reward her. So like that in itself is like 9 behaviors. So that's a big deal. Like for an animal like this, it's like those steps take forever. So it's just, but she's learned them so quickly. And so we're working on all those same things with Rosie as well. We just basically started the tail a week ago with Rosie, so she finally let me hold her tail. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. They do open mouth on command, so that's kind of cool. They let me like touch the insides of their mouth to work on their teeth, or if there's ever an issue, stuff like that. But they hold their mouth open for us while we do it. But yeah, we treat them as a dangerous animal because the potential is there. So even though they let us do all that stuff, there's still a possibility of something. If something startled them, you know, they could close their mouth really quickly. So everything's very carefully done because none of us want to get hurt. We don't want them to get afraid of us or feel like what we're doing is hurting them in any way. So that's why we do such baby steps. Because I mean, nobody likes to get poked by a needle, but for an animal to allow us to poke them on a tail is like a really cool behavior. Are you ready? She's like, I'm stationing. So this is her station. She puts her chin up and then lines her hip up. So she has to touch the bars with her back hip. And then she has to hold there. And if she breaks away, then we have to step back and be like, okay, no, station, line up, touch, you know. So, yeah, oh yeah, she's like, what if I do this? Maybe they'll give me more food. Are you guys ready to pet?
Yes.
How much do they eat in a day?
About 100 pounds of food a day. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's so pretty good. Like they only eat like fruits in their
Oh yeah. Lettuce.
Powerful.
They mainly eat hay, which is out on the exhibit. I feed them back here their produce, but what they're getting fed right now is what they get for the entire day for produce. The rest is just hay. All right, if you guys want to line up on this side of the wall for me in your family groups, I'm going to get them situated, even though they all already are kind of situated. But